Hey everybody, Kristen here with Kennesaw State University iTeach to show you some tips and tricks for Flipgrid. Let's get started. Best practices for bringing student choice and voice into the virtual classroom. Before we get started on our best practices, let's first discuss what student choice and voice is. Student choice and voice is an aspect of personalized learning that supports learner autonomy as students learn to voice their needs and make informed decisions. Stephanie Stevens, Director of iTeach, and Dr. Anissa Vega of Kennesaw State University provides 9 essential conditions for instituting personalized learning in their paper, A Vision for Personalized Learning in Georgia K-12 Schools. Of these 9 conditions are individual path and learner voice. Within the individual path, students develop the abilities to make informed choices in planning a unique progression and pace through mastery and partnership with the educator. Within this condition, students make informed decisions that guide their unique learning paths based on learner need and interest. Learner voice is an integral condition of planning the path and pace toward mastery, as learners voice their needs, preferences, and interests. With both choice and voice, students can become leaders of their own education, while also becoming more engaged in their learning paths as they are given the opportunity to make decisions and voice their needs. The first step of bringing learner choice and voice into the virtual classroom is in establishing and maintaining relationships. Relationships are an important component of any classroom, with the virtual classroom needing them more than any other type of learning space. As you build relationships with your students, they will feel more trusting as they voice their needs and make choices to guide their learning. Without the establishment of a relationship, students may just say and do what they think their teacher wants, rather than having the trusting relationship to know that they are free to guide their own paths. Find unique ways to establish relationships and create a classroom community online. Not only will this support the establishment of a relationship with your students, but it will also allow your students to feel comfortable using their voice to express their needs within the virtual setting. Let's check out some ideas for establishing relationships and the feeling of community in a virtual space. Consider some of these virtual introduction activities that provide a fun way for students to introduce themselves, providing you with a bit more insight into who they are, what interests them, and what they like. You should also participate in these activities as well, so students may also get to know you. Use Google Slides or Google Drawings for collage introductions, allowing students to use images to represent themselves. Create a topic in Flipgrid and allow peers to watch and respond. Encourage students to find appropriate memes, images, movies, or songs that represent them, sharing why they feel this item represents who they are. Once you have provided a way for the class to introduce themselves, continue highlighting student voice by showing students they have a say in the virtual classroom space. Showing students their voice matters to you as you develop the virtual learning environment will begin establishing a learning community where students feel they can share their voice. Invite students to help establish expectations for the virtual learning space using a digital collaborative board or a Google form. Invite students to create a name for your Google Classroom or for the virtual meeting space. For example, the space iTeach coaches meet is called The Nest. Establish routines with your students so they know what to expect when meeting virtually. Create classroom goals for the virtual learning environment, tracking class progression and providing incentives for reaching goals. This will also support individual paths as you encourage students to create personal goals as well. The next step in establishing choice and voice in the virtual classroom is in starting small. When introducing students to the freedom of choice, it is important to start small. Many students do not possess the skills to make choices that appropriately guide their learning, but will make choices based on what is easy or what their peers are doing. It is important to guide students in their learning paths by teaching them how to make appropriate choices for their needs. Begin by encouraging larger class decisions or even providing students with the ability to choose from options you provide. Small choices can be simple to provide in a virtual learning environment. Create a tic-tac-toe, choice board, or anchor activity chart listing options for student completion of tasks. Provide access to content in a variety of ways, giving students the ability to choose how they will learn new information. Provide a few differentiated options within the content, giving students the ability to choose what subtopics they may want to learn more about or what order they may want to tackle the content. The third step in promoting student voice and choice in the virtual classroom is in feedback and reflection. Feedback and reflection opportunities should be provided in all learning contexts, especially in a virtual learning environment, one that is relatively new to most teachers and learners. Allow students the opportunity to provide feedback to honor student voice and help you learn how you may support student needs. Feedback is a great way to highlight student voice in the classroom, and implementing changes in your teaching to reflect student feedback is empowering for your class. Additionally, providing time for both yourself and your students to reflect and make changes is a necessary aspect to support student decision-making. When giving students the opportunity to provide feedback, consider asking specific questions to elicit helpful responses. Review what feedback is with your classroom and refrain from asking overarching questions or questions requiring students to rate you or your lesson. Consider these ideas when gathering feedback. Ask questions to elicit feedback using Google Forms, Flipgrid, or collaborative space. Provide the opportunity for students to meet you during open office hours to freely express confusions, ask questions, or discuss work. Not only will this allow for your relationship with your students to continue to grow, but will also provide you with feedback based on student questions expressed during these meetings. Establish hand signals, emojis, or even phrases for students to use during online meetings to show you that they are ready to move on, or if they may need something repeated or clarified. Reflecting is a skill that needs to be used by both teachers and students frequently. Consider these options when providing opportunities for reflection. Just like with feedback, ask prompting questions related to student goals or specific work and invite students to respond using Google Forms, Flipgrid, or even a blogging platform. Embed reflection as a weekly assignment to provide the ability for students to spend time on their reflections and practice reflecting. Your reflection assignment can be more guided at the beginning of the year, slowly giving students the ability to choose how they want to reflect later on. Schedule conferences with students on a monthly basis or quarterly if you have multiple classes. Virtual learning can be difficult, so it is necessary to check in on students in a one-to-one conference to reflect on their progression toward goals or mastery. Supporting student goals. Encourage students to set goals in your classroom and work to support the achievement of these goals. Opportunities for student goal setting is necessary in promoting student choice and voice as it determines what matters to the student while also serving as a guide as they make choices in the classroom. Review what goals are and what an appropriate goal would be based on the age of your students. Students must first understand goals before they can set meaningful ones. Encourage students to set goals at the beginning of a unit, a quarter, or a semester. Provide students with the time to revisit their goals. This could be a great addition to those weekly reflections. Provide guidance and support as students analyze their goal progression and meet with students to determine how they are progressing toward their goals. As they move into more mastery-based decision-making, invite students to think about their goals as they make choices for their learning. You can use digital student portfolios, blogging, or even apps such as Google Keep or Google Sheets to help students manage and track their goals. Mastery choices. Students should begin to move into more mastery-based decision-making as the year progresses. Provide the opportunity for students to make choices about the mastery of a concept in your classroom. Mastery-based choices involves giving students the ability to make decisions on their own mastery, determining how they will achieve mastery and how they may demonstrate their mastery understanding in the classroom. When you feel your students are ready, consider providing a unit's worth of content in a flexible and student-paced format, giving students the ability to access the content, determine a path for acquiring mastery of the content, and selecting the way they may demonstrate their mastery. In this setting, you will serve more as a sense of support with students, leading the path of their own understanding. With the implementation of these 5 best practices, student choice and voice has the opportunity to flourish in your classroom.
Thanks for watching, and we hope this helps. For more videos like this, check out our YouTube channel or visit our website at iteach.kennesaw.edu.